Good evening, everyone. Jumping on here Monday night for a look ahead at our race weekend coming up at the Coke 600. One of the biggest, it's the longest races of the year, but wanted to jump on a Monday and kind of get it done based on my schedule for the rest of the week. So one of my favorite races, to be honest. Love this track. Love the way this Gen 7 car races on it. So really looking forward to it. It's always the Memorial Day race, or Memorial Day weekend race, I should say. However, it has happened numerous times in the past. If you're planning on either, or if you're going or trying to go or wanting to watch it, I will say be prepared. Looking at the weather right now, which is obviously a week out, so a lot can change. The weather forecast is not promising. Looks okay for Sunday night, but looks like Friday and Saturday's events for the truck series and stuff might have some issues and may have to be moved around. So I would just say keep an eye on the weather forecast for the Charlotte area, but if you're planning on making that trip or if you're planning on even watching. So without further ado, let's jump in and get started as we'd like to do on our previews, is kind of go through some of the little quirks and stats and weird things about the track and how it came about. So Charlotte opened in 1960. That was the inaugural season of racing. It does have a capacity of 90. As of 2021 stats, the capacity is listed as 95,000, and it's going to be packed. It's packed every year, especially for this race. They have two races at the track a year. They're changing back this year. We'll get more into that later on. But it's you got on that property. Right around it, you have the Charlotte track, you have a short track, a clay short track, dirt short track. They have a clay track, a dirt track, a drag strip, and then they have the ability to adjust the infield to make what was known as the roval, which is half road course, half roval, or oval, hence roval. So that part of it is what has gone away. That used to be the second race of the season at Charlotte. This year, they have decided to go back to put both races on the oval, which I think is a much better event. I'm not a fan of the roval, never was. I get why they did it to try something, but putting it back, I think is in the best interest of the sport. So it's a 1.5 mile track. The corners are banked 24 degrees and the front stretch are banked 5 degrees, the front and back stretch. So the corners are 24 and the front stretches are 5. There's also a few other tracks have this as well, but on the infield, on the front stretch, there's also, if you watch the race, you'll see 2 little cutouts right on the front stretch. And that's a quarter-mile track that they use for legend cars, which are really fun to watch if you ever get a chance to catch them. Sometimes they're on FS1. Sometimes they're racing pretty much all the time, but you can also catch them on the NASCAR channel on Tubi, which is free. They'll have some stuff on there, too, from Charlotte. So, like we said, the track was open in 60 for its first year of racing. Had a few issues getting this track going. When they finally started breaking ground in July of 1959, there was some legal issues that postponed the construction of the site. So they got through all that, though. But then as soon as they started getting going, they found a large granite vein. So they had to bring in dynamite, blow that out of the way. And then to even further it, as they're digging, they stirred up a bunch of apparently really, really aggressive hornets. and a bunch of the quitters that were building the track quit. Builders quit. They were just like, I'm not dealing with this. And then you also had 3 snowstorms, which kind of compounded the building of it also. So it just seemed like it was doomed from the beginning. It wound up persevering. There was a lot of setbacks. There was loans, and a court took over the track for a while because they ran out of money. There was just a lot of issues that surrounded this track. It's in a much better place now, but back then when they were having their problems, there used to be a mechanic in NASCAR called Smokey Unick, and I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I'm pretty sure that is, but anyway, he hated the location they chose. He said they could have searched if they would have searched North Carolina for the worst possible place to build a racetrack, this is where they would have picked. So he just said it was just a terrible spot in all this. Wasn't a fan. It took so long. So just a lot of little stuff like that. We've already mentioned about them having the 2 races. They always host 2, which Charlotte is also the hub for NASCAR. If you're not familiar, most of the race teams are really, really, really close by. There's some that are further out. Richard Childress is up in Welcome, about an hour north. You've got like the Wood Brothers Race Shop is up in Stewart, Virginia. It's about 2.5, 3 hours away, somewhere around that time frame. So, but most of the shops are right there in Mooresville, Charlotte, Concord, right in that general area. So that's why Charlotte has always been known as the hub for NASCAR. We mentioned the 2 races, the Coca-Cola 600 and the Bank of America 400. 1960 was the first running of the Coke 600, and it is the longest race on the NASCAR circuit, and by far, 600 miles. The nearest closest would be one of the Daytonas or Talladegas. They're 500 miles, or any other 500-mile race. This one is a whole extra 100 miles. So pretty long race for you. Let's see. So the difference with this is, if you've heard me before, we have 3 stages in every race. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. After each stage, they hand out stage points, they re-rack the field, blah, blah, blah. This race is different in the fact that they have 4 stages. A lot of times in other races, you'll see stage 1 will be like 75 laps, stage 2 may be 90, and stage 3 may be 130 or something. Well, at this race, it is an exact 100 laps per stage. So you get, 4 chances. It pays out the most points of any race on the docket, including the Daytona 500, due to the fact that there's an extra stage. So if you win a stage, you get 10 points. So let's say you sweep this race, you win the stages and the race, you're going to get 30 points for 3 stages. The 4th stage is the final, and you'll get your 55 points for winning the race. So you have a massive amount. This can be a lot of points movement this week if guys in the back happen to win stages and get up front at the end of the race. You could see some pretty hefty movement in the point standings after this race. So to put it in perspective, when they first started doing this with the stage races, stage 1 and 2 were 115 laps each, so that's 230, and the last stage was 170. But they decided to change that, like I said, and go to the 4 stages. But NASCAR also has a rule that if there's inclement weather in the area or whatever, if the race gets to the end of stage 2 in normal races, the race is over. It can be called as official, much like a baseball game if you're after the, fifth inning or whatever. And that also applies here. So if they get through the first two stages and then rain sets in overnight, they could potentially look at coming back the next day and running the next half of the race. A lot of times they just scrap it and call it race over and be done with it, but because it's technically an official race. So getting through some of the background of there, we'll jump into some of the fastest lap times. I like to go through this. IndyCar's race there too. So we'll go with IndyCar's record is actually really old. Kenny Brack set this in 1998, ran a lap of 24.735 seconds. To put it in perspective, of course, the fastest the Cup Series has gone was the 2017 Coke 600. Jimmy Johnson set that in 28.59. So pretty much 4 seconds difference in speed to do a mile and a half. That's moving it. The Xfinity was set in 2020 by Kyle Busch, 29.962 seconds. The Truck Series set by Carson Hocevar in 2023, 30.017 seconds. And then the ARCA Menard Series race is set by Dean Thompson, also in 2023 at 30.393. I just think it's neat to look at how fast the lap times are when you start thinking about a mile and a half in less than 30 seconds. That's pretty quick. Looking back at your past winners, your leader is Jimmy Johnson, has 8 wins at this track. Bobby Allison, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Richard. I mean, it's the who's who that have won here multiple times. You get down into your, 4-win people. Some of them are like Casey Kane, Baker, some of the 3-win people, Cale Yarborough, Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick has won 3 times there. Tons of people have won races here, and some of the who's who of NASCAR. As far as some of the active people that are, going to be racing this weekend, let's see who we got on here that's still active with the most wins. Looks like Brad Keselowski has 2 wins, and he's really the only active driver with more than that. You've got a few with 1. Ross Chastain won this race in 2025. Blaney's won here. Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell have all got a win here at this track. So there's quite a few past winners at this track in this event. So going back to who's won the most recent Coke 600s, my list went back to 2015. I'm just going to go to 2017 where it's Austin Dillon because these are the active drivers. The guys before then are not active right now. So Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson has done it twice. Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Ross Chastain are the actives that have won this race. The earlier stats I gave you for wins was just all time. This is just in the Coke 600, the ones I just gave you. So, it's going to be a good field. You've got a bunch of people that win it. Surprise winner last year, Ross Chastain. I'll get more into that when we get into the Cup Series. This is a race that is because it's going to start. Let's just say the weather's normal. It's going to start. It's going to be, still light outside, sunshine, little heat. But as you continue to race, it's going to get dark. So you have to be able to keep up with the handling of the car from multiple different temperatures of the track, multiple different, grip levels of the track. You're going to have to stay on top of it and keep up with it. So there's a lot involved. This is a race where, starting last, second to last, anywhere in the field isn't necessarily going to hurt you because it's such a long race. It is, you're talking 4, almost 5 hours in a car. And as was mentioned on one of my NASCAR for Beginners podcasts, you're talking 4 to 5 hours in a car with no bathroom breaks. So, but you can go watch that series on the NASCAR for Beginners and kind of figure that out yourself. We answer that question. So let's jump into the truck series, shall we? The Craftsman Truck Series. Your lineup for here is Friday, which again, I'm going by what's on the schedule. I don't see any of this happening. I see it getting all rained out and them using the driver metric and points metric to set the field. So, but we'll go through with what they say, just in case weather is weather. You know how that goes. 3:30, all times are Eastern. You got practice on Fox Sports 2. 4:35, you have qualifying on Fox Sports 2. 7:30 p.m. Friday is the truck race on Fox Sports 1. So, again, keep an eye on it. I don't know. I don't fully expect any of it to happen on Friday based on what I'm looking at the weather. But, hey, I've been wrong before, so have weathermen. So we'll see what happens. They're going to race on Friday at 7:30. Like I said, it's the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. They're going to go 134 laps, 201 miles. Okay, well, gotta love the internet. See, just like the weather, nobody ever knows what's going on. So we were having this discussion, which is where I was. Me and my wife were discussing. Well, we'll back up a little bit. Let's back up just a second, just in case, because I didn't catch when it went off. So went through the times. 3:30 and 4:30 are practice and qualifying on FS2. 7:30 p.m. is the race on Friday night, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. It is 134 laps, 201 miles. So what I was getting into is my wife and I were having this discussion the other day about doing a race weekend. And I said, yeah, we could do all 3 races in a weekend. She said, I don't know if I can do all 3. And I was telling her, well, the truck series is way, way shorter than the other series, the Cup series especially. And so to give you an idea, I have already mentioned, and we'll tell you again in a minute, that the Cup series this weekend at Charlotte's going to race 400 laps, 600 miles. The truck series is doing 134 laps at 201 miles. So, you know, you can see it's a third shorter than the Cup series. So much faster race to get through. I don't know if I won her over on that argument yet or not, but we'll see. Then future episodes will let you know how that worked out. So looking at it, I looked through the entry list. It's not a full entry list out yet. There's still some that are out there. I don't see Corey Heim racing in this one. He might. As of right now, I didn't see him listed. So some of the names, of course, to watch here. Watch Caden Honeycutt. He's been really good here lately. Lane Riggs, Chandler Smith, Ty Majeski. But if Corey Heim races in this, he's obviously going to be the one I'm going to pencil in as the biggest threat to win. Outside of, I did see that we have 5 Cup Series guys dropping down into this race. Ricky Stenhouse, I think Chastain, Hocevar, Bush, Kyle Busch, and there's one other one that I'm missing right off. And I think Shane Van Gisbergen actually might be doing it. I have to go back and check. But there are some Cup Series guys dropping in. Again, I don't mention them in my drivers to watch because they're not eligible for points or anything. So I just kind of go with the series regulars. But Corey Heim's not a regular in this series either. But he does race some Truck Series. And if he races this one, he's my pick to win this race. Just how I see it. That gets us through the Truck Series and drivers to watch in it. Next, we'll jump up to the O'Reilly's Auto Parts Series. I see, based again, same thing here. I see a lot of rain in the forecast for Charlotte on Saturday. So we'll see what happens here, which will also affect the Cup Series. If they do practice and qualifying for the O'Reilly Series, practice is at 11 a.m. Qualifying's at 12:05. That's on the CW app. And that's going to be, they're going to race in the Charbroil 300. That race, if goes, would be Saturday at 5 p.m. on the CW network. There is going to be 200 laps, 300 miles. So again, this is half the distance of the Cup Series. So your people to watch here are your standards. Justin Allgaier, you got to watch him on this. Austin Hill, Jesse Love, Carson Kvapil, Brandon Jones, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer. There's also a couple of other Cup Series. This one still had 4 to be determined or to be announced, I guess would be the better word for entry lists. So I'm assuming we're going to get quite a few more Cup cars in there. We're going to see. I know there's a couple. Connor Zillich for sure is dropping down into this. I don't know. I don't know who else might be. Like I said, the entry list being a Monday. Normally the full entry list comes out on Wednesday, and we'll just kind of play it from there. If I get a better entry list, and something changes or anything changes, and I get a chance to pop back on later in the week, I will pop back on and give you a quick update as to what's going on with the whole event. Jumping to the Cup Series, and before we get into the info for the series, this is the Memorial Day weekend. There is a big NASCAR has a huge relationship with the U.S. military. All of the drivers have had a fallen member of some branch of the military on the hood of their car, not the hood, the windshield at the top, the little banner with that person's name, giving them the due, I guess, that they deserve. I don't know how else to say it. It doesn't sound right the way I said it, but they're giving them some recognition for the ultimate sacrifice, in other words. And this is a race where I swear they used to do a pause in the middle of this race to honor, do a military thing. I did some research on that today, and I don't know if I was dreaming it or what, but I can't find anything that said they did. I swore they did. What'd you say? The Mandela effect. Yeah, the Mandela effect. So I don't know. I swore they did, but I could be 100% totally wrong. But I do know that, before the race, they do play Amazing Grace and taps before the race gets going. And a lot of drivers have said they'd rather win this race than the Daytona 500. And Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl for NASCAR. So it's pretty crazy that they want this race more. But it's just a lot around this race that goes into it. The emotion. A lot of the drivers go do visits to bases in the week leading up to the event. Some will go to the National Cemetery. They just do all kinds of stuff. Austin Dillon, I know a couple of years ago, I believe, was jumping out of Blackhawks. It's a really good spectacle to watch. Even if you didn't want to watch the race, I would say watching the pre-race is worth, especially what this weekend means to everybody who's had family in the services before. So we'll get off that now and jump into again. Saturday is supposed to be practice and qualifying. 1:30 for practice, 2:40 for qualifying. This is the switch. NASCAR has been on Fox for the first races of the season since Daytona. This is where the broadcast rights switch, and the next 5 races are on Amazon Prime. So if you want to watch the race and you don't have Amazon Prime, I will tell you, you can go on and do a 30-day free trial of Amazon, and you'll be able to watch the races for free. So to anybody that doesn't have an Amazon or a Prime membership and you want to watch the race, you can watch it without having to pay for like cable or anything. You just use an email, sign up for a 30-day trial, and you get 5 weeks of racing for free. So just a little workaround there. Of course, Sunday, 6 p.m. I will say that it looks like there's some rain in the area based on the forecast for right around 6. NASCAR will start this race late. They will hold it and start it late, and because they know everybody's off Monday. So starting the race late, it doesn't matter if they race till 1, 2 in the morning. They don't like to, but they will. If that's what it has to be. It could be the fact, too, that NASCAR could say, okay, we're in stage 4. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're going to pull 50 laps off of this event and shut her down. But, at that point, they'll probably just run it out. The drivers would say, let's just run it. We can sleep tomorrow. They want that win. So, again, Sunday, 6 p.m., Amazon. 400 laps, 600 miles. And that is, that is for people being from Texas originally. It's roughly 260 miles, like somewhere around that range from Dallas to Houston. So you would drive from Dallas to Houston, back to Dallas, and then start heading back to Houston. Now, that would obviously not be done because you would be exhausted because you're driving, 70, 75. These guys are doing 170, 175. So they're making a little bit better time than you would on the interstate. So, but that's just kind of the best estimate I could give you from where I am right now. For other people, you just think of something that's 300 miles away from where you live, and then drive there and back straight through. No stops, no bathroom breaks, nothing, just straight through. So, yeah, pretty crazy. Getting into your drivers to watch for the Cup Series. Again, there could be drivers added to the entry list. I didn't see any yet, but we're not going to worry about that too much because pretty much anybody that comes in isn't going to be a real threat to win right away. Your drivers to watch, you're going to go with the most dominant driver so far, Tyler Reddick. The driver that's on the biggest momentum swing, Denny Hamlin. Ross Chastain for winning it last year. Brian Blaney's going to be in the mix. Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. Typical standards here in this race. But again, nobody's out of this race. It's long. Motors expire. Brakes give up. Power steering goes out. You lose track of the track. You need to tighten up the car, but you loosen it. There's so much that goes into this that anybody's really a threat to win, including Josh Berry, which don't put money on that, please. Sleeper picks. I'll give you a couple sleepers I'm watching that could surprise everybody. Ricky Stenhouse. Watch him on this track. There's drafting involved in here, and he does really well on anything where you can draft. Another sleeper is Daniel Suarez. He's had really good runs before. And a wild sleeper I'm going to take is going to be Todd Gilliland. I just think that he's running better here recently, and momentum's huge in this sport. One driver I forgot to mention here is Carson Hocevar, as far as people to watch. He's a little bit of a wild card because he's so aggressive in a race this long. He could tear his car up pretty early, could mess up the motor. But he's also younger and might be able just to manage it a lot better too. So we'll just have to play with that. But Carson Hocevar is one I'm going to have to start watching. He's super aggressive. Fun to watch. Aggravating when he wrecks your favorite driver, but fun to watch for sure. So this, to me, used to be, well, it's not so much anymore because of what F1 has done, which is annoying, but whatever. Used to be this was the greatest race weekend of the year. I looked forward to this weekend to literally sit on my couch, eat, drink, nap, and watch from 7 a.m. until about midnight. Nothing but racing. Used to start with F1 racing Monaco. Indy racing the Indy 500 was on right after that. And then about an hour after that, the Cup Series kicked off in Charlotte. It was the greatest day. It was the three of the biggest events for each series on the same day, back to back to back. And it was amazing. I loved it. But F1 has changed their format. Monaco is not this weekend. It's next weekend. So that kind of took it away. They're racing in Quebec at 4 p.m. So they're going to be going head to head with the end of the Indy 500 and the beginning of the Coke 600. Probably going to hurt their ratings some, which is fine with me. But we do have a few people who have attempted the double. Now, that's not, I've done many of doubles in my life, whether it's a double shift, mostly it's double cheeseburgers, but I've done quite a few doubles. But I've never done this double, nor do I want to. Catherine Legg is going to attempt this. She's going to go race the Indy cars, where she qualified 27th, by the way, coming off the starting grid for Indy. She's going to go race the 500 at Indy. And hopefully once she completes the 200 laps around the 2.5-mile circuit over there, she's going to hop a plane and fly to Charlotte and jump in a Cup car and race the 500 or 600 miles there. She will be the 6th driver to attempt to do both in the same day. The others that have attempted it, Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Robbie Gordon, and John Andretti. She is the first non-American and the first woman to attempt it. and she's the oldest to do it by, she's about a decade older than anybody else. So shout out to Catherine Legg for attempting it. Brutal, hard, 1,100 miles. You know, we'll see. Hopefully she can complete all 200 and fly over there and complete all 600 miles. I don't pencil her in for a win in any of the races. Hey, but stranger things have happened. So we'll see what happens. But makes it something fun to interesting to watch is anybody who does it. Kyle Larson attempted it a couple of years ago, and I thought it was amazing. And he actually did well at Indy, was actually in front for a little bit, a couple of laps. But then there was a rain delay, and he finished the Indy 500 and didn't make the start of the race in Charlotte, which cost him. It was a whole debacle with the playoff system back then. NASCAR has since put in a thing saying you must start the race or else you're banned from the playoffs. And there's so many different things that go into it. I don't agree with that when somebody's attempting this. But it kind of has made it to where some of your high-end drivers don't want to attempt it because of the risk of losing playoffs, standings, or chase points now. Not the playoff anymore, but you could see some of your people like a Catherine Legg going to attempt it. Somebody who's not going to be in contention for the NASCAR chase anyway. So why not? It's not going to hurt her if she misses the Coke 600. It's just going to ruin her chance at doing the double. So getting into something, I found a new website I like to look stuff up on. And I can't tell you the name of the website because I don't remember. I just Google searched and then clicked on tabs. So some stats from active drivers in the Coke 600. Most wins, Keselowski. Most poles, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch both have sat on the pole 3 times. Kyle Busch has 37 starts here. Man, he's old. Most top 5s, top 10s, and laps led is Kyle Busch with 16, 22, and 1,487 laps led. The best average finish, believe it or not, is not Kyle Busch. It's Tyler Reddick at 10.3. Best average starting position, William Byron, starting normally in the top 6 at 5.3. And the most times being on the lead lap at the finish was Denny Hamlin, who was finished on the lead lap 27 out of 34 starts. So kind of crazy stats to me. Then we jump into all-time stats from all drivers in the history of NASCAR. Most 600 wins all time, Darrell Waltrip. 5. He won it in 78, 79, 85, 88, and 89. Lowest starting position to win the Coke 600. Mentioned it earlier. Ross Chastain, 2025, last year, started 40th, won the race. Told you, doesn't matter where you start, just be there at the end. Youngest pole sitter was William Byron at 21 years old in 2019. The youngest starter ever in the Coke 600 is the aforementioned earlier, Connor Zilisch, 18 years old last year when he first ran this race. The youngest winner of the Coke 600 ever, Jeff Gordon, 22 years old. The first ever Coke 600 race winner, Joe Lee Johnson, in 1960. Most Coke 600 wins in a row, Jimmy Johnson, 2003, 2004, 2005, 3 times. The race record was done by Martin Truex Jr., completed the race 3 hours and 44 minutes and 5 seconds. That's flying. That's just one of those races that there was not very many cautions at all. And I don't even think they were doing stage breaks. That's another reason. So that will probably never be broken because now you have stage breaks where they kind of slow down everything for a couple of laps. So I don't see that record being broken anytime unless they go away from stage breaks. Go back to 2016, probably the most boring ever Coke 600 race, to be honest with you. That's the same race Martin Truex we just mentioned in the time frame, but the most laps led by the Coke 600 winner, Martin Truex Jr. How about this? 392 of 400 laps. Let that sink in. 392 of 400. So somebody led 8 laps and he won the rest. And it was not close. It was pure domination. It wasn't even a fun race, to be honest, unless you were a Martin Truex Jr. fan, and then it was really fun. How many times have there been first times winners? So the first time winner, not just winner of this race, of course, you got your first ever NASCAR Cup Series victory in this race. It's happened 7 times. I didn't get the full list, but the most recent was 2017 with Austin Dillon. Most wins by a team, you can pretty much guess this. Hendrick Motorsports, they have 12. And the most recent was Kyle Larson in 2021. Most wins by manufacturer, Chevrolet, 36. Most recently, last year, Ross Chastain. The closest finish ever in the Coke 600 was 2/100ths of a second, 0.027. Jimmy Johnson beat Bobby Labonte in 2005. Just some little fun facts about Charlotte and the race. It's a phenomenal race. The cars do really well on this track. The meaning behind everything this weekend again. It's a very, very, very good race. But it's the longest. It's just something that's a spectacle. It is definite bucket list track and an event for me. It is the Coke 600. I just think it would be a phenomenal experience to do once. So other than that, like I said, if I get time later in the weekend, we get more of an entry list or we get more of a handle on the weather or something, I will attempt to jump on real quick and give y'all an update. But if not, you got the stuff. You can go to NASCAR.com and all the info for the race and any delays and all that will be there. I'll try to jump on at some point to definitely set my fantasy lineup. I may do that Sunday morning, early in the morning, because by then we'll know about qualifying getting either rained out or being performed, and we'll know the starting grid, and I can set my fantasy roster from that point. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good evening, and most definitely, you'll see all our channels that are a member here of our WTP Sports Dude scrolling at the bottom. Go like, subscribe, notification button, hit all that so you'll know when we go live. Pretty much have something going on live almost every night. So, you'll get insight that way from all of our channels. You can find all of us on Patreon. There's a WTP Sports Dudes Patreon. I have my own Patreon. I will be putting all this over to Spotify also on the podcast side, so you can listen to it while driving. TikTok. I'll be cutting this down into some clips for TikTok. So go like, subscribe, share. It doesn't cost anything. Just kind of helps the channel, all the channels grow and get bigger. So if you don't mind, go ahead and do that. If you got any comments, drop comments to my videos. Any of our videos, we'll respond to any comments. We also have a website, WTPSportsDudes.com. go check that out, give you a little insight on everybody. And you can even email us questions or topics you want us to talk about, and we'll bring them up and get them squared away for you. Other than that, everybody have a good evening, and we will catch y'all on the next show.
Low post, mid post, high post, post